All right, so that brings us to our speaker spark this morning. And the topic is Sui-Love, my journey from suicide to celebration. Our spark this morning will be sharing her life journey through a childhood of being bullied to suffering with bipolar disorder and ideation of suicide through to becoming one who lives with joy. She shares the wisdom she has gleaned on her spiritual path, particularly with A Course in Miracles, which helped her return from a dangerous precipice of total self-destruction and brought her to a complete turnaround through service in the mental health field. She now works with others in need through her business, Creative Crisis Care. She facilitates workshops using art, improv, interpretive dance, which we had the pleasure of experiencing earlier, movement, mime, and poetry to help people find the way through their own life challenges to the joy she has found. She serves on the New Jersey Adult and Teen Suicide Prevention Committees and is currently starring in a play she wrote on suicide and bullying prevention, which is based on The Wizard of Oz. And if that's not enough, she's also a professional mime specializing in skits on mental illness. Her work can be seen on her website, creativecrisiscare.com, which we will be putting in the chat. So you don't have to write it down right now, because right now, help me give a warm circle welcome to this morning's spark, Janet Berkowitz. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you. I think I am going to begin with my story because that just felt like a lead into it, and then I'll do the meditation. So my life is based on two basic beliefs. The first one is a simple equation. I equal love, God equals love, so I equal God. So to me, we're all God. It's all God, everything. The word God for me now is just love. I used to walk around and I would look at people passing by and I go, God, God, God. And if I was meeting someone I knew who understood that premise, I would say, hi, God. The second thing that my life is based on is that everything is a gift. So I'm just being taught how to make lemonade from a lot of bitter lemons. That's what I see life about. Life is about remembering who I am, which is God, which is love. And that I would say is true for everyone, but I'm not going to speak for everyone. So I was born in Newark, New Jersey in 1958 to Jewish parents. They didn't push any religion on me. They just gave it to us to sample. We did Sabbath every night. We went to temple. I'm not so that into it now, but I love my Jewish heritage. I still practice holidays and different rituals. And sometimes I go to temple and I've gotten a lot out of being Jewish, growing up Jewish. I know that my parents loved me. I want to start with that. But I felt very different from my family. I used to look for adoption papers. And also, I've been a rageaholic since I can remember walking. And my best friend is here from childhood, and I can see she's laughing because she knows me so well. I brought a lot of rage into the house. And it started even before the bullying in my life started. And I think to myself now, if I'd known astrology, if I'd known that I had so much Aquarius in my chart, I would have known why I'm so different. Anyone who knows astrology understands that. And also there is a configuration in my chart that is very indicative of rage. And I have only found it in a few charts out of the many hundreds of charts I've looked at. I would have had more compassion for myself. My childhood in many ways was a nightmare. The bullying and the teasing and the ignoring from other people started when I was in nursery school at 3 years old. And it basically continued until I was 13. And I went to school every day being picked on, as I remember, coming home constantly crying. My mother tried to soothe me. She did not know what to do with all of this. It was just too much for one family to handle. And, I kept being nice to these bullies because I needed friends. I had no friends. And throughout my life, 3 of those bullies were very close friends up until 7th grade. And so I call them frenemies, I just had to hold on to them. I didn't have anyone. I'd come home and I'd hide under the bed or in the closet, and I would cry so hard my ribs hurt. And I would cry silently. I would wail, silently. And my really best friend was God. I would talk to God all the time. By the time I was 8, I was suicidal. And this, by the way, is common. We're finding in my work in suicide prevention, we find that it can start as young as 4-year-old children. And actually, I knew someone who was 2 who was trying to cut himself. It's amazing how much self-hate can drive someone to this. So I couldn't when I'm suicidal, I can't look at myself in the mirror. I hate myself. I hate everyone. Eventually I start to hate everyone. It's just really a very frightening place to go. It feels like madness. It does not feel like depression. I don't really get depressed much. The madness is really tremendous fear, just like horrific fear that I can't even explain. My life started to turn around when I was 11. I met this best friend of mine, Lydia, at camp. We were bunkmates. And she was very good to me and taught me to see humor in life. And then my parents put me in a private school. And that's when things got better. I started to develop healthier friendships. Mind you, codependency has followed me all the way through. So, I can't say real healthy, but the bullying really died down quite a bit. And what's exciting is this afternoon, I am meeting with some of those friends, some of which I'm still close to, with an old high school teacher that we loved a lot. So that's very meaningful. My mom used to say to me a lot, I'd leave the house and she'd go, don't do drugs, don't talk to strangers, don't pose. And that is a lot of what happened eventually. I did do drugs and alcohol, and I did talk to strangers in very unhealthy places. And I mean, once I was trying to be recruited by a pimp to be a prostitute. That's how far it could go with me. And I fortunately talked my way out of that. I did well in high school. I was a highest honors student, but by the time I got to college, the mania was just getting to be too much. I didn't know I had manic depression yet, but it was coming up to the surface, as it does when you're around 19, 20 years old. And I couldn't get work done. I tried actually 4 times to return to college. And I'm just not school material. I learn better by experience, and I've developed my whole career out of what I've been through. In 1980, I got very, very suicidal, 1979, really bad. I had to leave where I was in college. I had to come home. My parents didn't know. I hadn't told anyone that I was suicidal when I was 8 years old. So no one knew until this point when I'm about 19 or 20. And I finally gave in and I put myself in a hospital. And the many times that suicide has returned in my life, that's the one thing I always did. I never made an attempt. I always put myself in a hospital. Excuse me, even though I didn't believe it would work. So finally they put me on lithium and something shifted. I got better, but they warned me about kidney disease. And so I was really scared to take it. I kept getting on and off my meds. In the same year, I did the EST training, now called the Forum. And I did a workshop there they said, you're God. And I think I misunderstood what that meant. And I went home and I said, well, I'm God. I don't have to take my meds. I'm healed. And down the toilet they went. And that happened through most of the 80s, just getting back on and getting off. And really, I was mostly off my meds in the 80s. I started sleeping around a lot. I once counted, I've been with like 45 men in my life, maybe 5 of which were any kind of a relationship, except my husband. He was a wonderful relationship. A lot of them were one-night stands, and this is very common with bipolar disorder. And I had jobs. I worked all the way through this. I worked with, I had everything. I made Greek pizza, I cleaned houses, I worked with emotionally disturbed kids. I started doing my own kinds of little workshops, play and theater improv workshops. But I was unhealthy. I was manic. In 1984, this is the big, major turning point in my life. 1980, discovering the bipolar. 1984, I found A Course in Miracles. I resisted it. My friend kept pushing it on me. and it was a lifesaver. It's probably that, and it's the follow-up, A Course of Love, are the two things that have really held me strong. What the Course taught me was what I've been saying, that I am only love. Only love is real. And if it ain't love, it's fear. And what's under fear for me is like sadness, anger, shame, and all the derivatives thereof. So that simplified my life. I was able to kind of start asking myself, Janet, what are you scared of when something would come up? And if I could just take that, it's like a coin. One side is fear and one side is love. And I just would try to flip over that coin by processing with myself. And I kept doing all these processing trainings, emotional growth trainings like Ask Life Spring, many, many big trainings, some smaller. I've done that for 40 years. I just kind of pulled out of a lot of it just this year. And I figured I had enough. I'm pretty well processed out. So I moved into a Course in Miracles community with a man named Alan Cohen, another Jewish man. And I started finding a lot of people who were Jewish were studying this. And as far as anybody knows, it's channeled writings of Jesus. It sounds like it to me. I don't know. It doesn't sound anything like the Bible. It sounds a whole lot healthier. You know, it's not a Christian concept that Jesus is the only Son of Man, of God. It's that he's saying we all are. And it's so beautifully, exquisitely written. You know, what I came to realize is that love is not so much a feeling. Love is a state of being. It's our natural inheritance. And that really helped me. You know, the concept of returning to love is just getting back to what we are. So to me, we're just on this planet trying to remember that that's what's true. I didn't do well in this community because of my very codependent habits. I had to leave. I chose to leave. My behavior was still manic. You know, I realized on some level I was disrupting things, but I added a lot to it too. When I was done with the Course, I was angry with Jesus. I was like, you wrote this whole book about forgiveness, forgive. I'm not ready to forgive. I was too angry still. I hadn't processed enough of my anger. I would talk to him about it. I'd see him sitting in the back of the car as I'm driving. I couldn't see him next to me. I needed to see him through, in my imagination, through the rear view mirror. And I would talk to him about that. I'd say, I need something else here. It came in the Course of Love, but I'll get to that in a bit. In 1987, I was smoking. I was doing mostly psychedelic drugs. I didn't do coke or any of that stuff, but I was smoking a lot of pot and I couldn't get any more inside of me. So I went into rehab and I have not had, in fact, in 2 days, I will be 33 years clean and sober, which I'm very, very proud of. And yeah, that's pretty meaningful to me. But I have 10 years sober in Suicide Anonymous, which is more meaningful to me. I mean, it'll be 10 years soon. So I had one abortion. It was just a big mistake. I just kept going from one man to the next. And then I joined Pebble Hill Church. Most of you know of it. It's near where you guys meet, in the early 90s. And that's where I started really flourishing. I started performing there and getting a lot of confidence. And I met my later-to-be husband. And he and I just became very close friends. Later we married in 2003. And we taught, it was just amazing. I taught improv groups there. I had people who knew the Course in Miracles and I could talk about it with them. It was very exciting. It was like, now I had a place to really be Janet. I kept working. I'm a very hard worker. And in 1990, I also had to address an issue. I got back on my meds. That's one thing I did in 1990. And except for a couple of times when I tried to get off since then, and it never worked, I always got suicidal, I've been on them steadily. So I married my husband in 2003, and he started working with me. He had no training. I'm a professional mime. And he started miming with me. he just did everything I did. He started teaching theater with me. He was amazing. He just had it in him naturally. He was a great comedian and impersonator. He could do great impersonations. And we put that to work. And, you know, we were teaching theater for a long time. And finally, we did the Course in Miracles lessons together. And that, I've done those lessons 4 times. And they are, whew, that's my favorite part of the Course in Miracles. That really, they really work for me. And doing it with him was magical. It really brought our relationship quite closer. And he was already into, he studied with Paramahansa Yoganandaji, who has a wonderful lineage back to Babaji. And Yogananda really, I couldn't get it at first. I couldn't let that in. So he just kind of followed me with Jesus and the Course in Miracles. And then I started getting into Yogananda. I started realizing this is a healthy guy. His lineage is a real solid lineage. So I still work with that, you know, and I see them in meditation all the time. I really have a good time working with them in my mind. I'm very creative in my head. So then in the middle of like 2005, my mother died. And we had made a lot of peace by now. I was close to my parents at this point. They had gone through all the suicide stuff with me, and they were really amazing about it. Very, very caring and loving. And I started getting suicidal after she died. I thought I was okay, but I wasn't. And then my husband, it started happening to him too a little bit. And then my father died, and now it was really bad. And so Phil made an attempt. He actually, he blamed himself for what I was going through. And I just kept going, you know, I just kept going in and out of hospitals. I had 40 shock treatments, 75% of the drugs that are out there. Nothing was working. Oh, well, it was working. It was keeping me from killing myself, but it wasn't really pulling me out. And then I woke up one morning, and before I opened my eyes, I heard the word suicide denied, which is the name of my mime skit about suicide. All my pieces end positively. And so, and I also changed the word suicide to Sui-Love. And I've made a groove in my head with that. Like as soon as the word Sua starts in my head, I just hear Sui-Love. I don't hear suicide anymore. Because when I'm suicidal, I hear it at such a fast pace. We're talking about the speed of light. It's horrible. Do it now, suicide, suicide. So I was able to change that. And after I got back from the last hospitalization, I said to my husband, we got to start working together on this. I don't know any other way out of it. So we started designing workshops, creative arts workshops on suicide prevention. And they were just, we've had incredible success with what we've done. And finally, I found A Course of Love. And that really brought A Course in Miracles home for me. The text of A Course in Miracles had gotten too dense. I couldn't read it at all anymore. The Course of Love, Jesus starts talking about the heart more and how to bring the heart and the head together. He calls it wholeheartedness. And it's a how-to book. There's a lot of specific how-to things to do in it. And he talks about feelings. He makes it okay to have your feelings. He talks about how to handle feelings. And so I realized he first had to teach me how to forgive. And then he said, okay, now we can get into all that feeling stuff. I became very close to the woman who brought it through. She doesn't use the word channeling. I don't remember what she says. And to the publisher and the best friend who had a dream about it coming in. I've been with them a lot. And I really, these people are so easy to talk to. We don't even have to talk much. It's like so much, they're playful. We do a lot of heart-centered kind of language. It's not so, I find The Course in Miracles more heady and the language more heady. So I have really, really, Jesus has now become my best friend. Now I call him Yeshi for Yeshua. And I spend a lot of time with him in meditation. So I'm not, you know, I don't do any more groups with the Course in Miracles or anything, or the Course of Love. It's too much for me to talk about it. Words, I can't do this stuff in words anymore. It's all feelings. So my husband died 3 years ago. And he told me right away to start doing Course in Miracles lessons again. And that got me through the first year. In fact, there's someone here, my wonderful friend Lisa Renee, who did a lot of that with me and helped me so much that year. Saved my life, dear. Really helped me. I had to do 1 year of dialysis because lithium finally destroyed my kidneys. And I was blessed last year, a year ago, to get a baby's kidney, which is the healthiest thing you can imagine. So in closing, I want to say that I see my life as a triangle. It's the 12 steps on one end, because I've done like 17 different 12-step groups for 17 different addictions. It's my emotional release groups, and then it's A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love and Yogananda and Mary and St. Francis and Judaism and all those things that have carried me. I am moving beyond the I, them, life, death kind of, separation thing. I see them as together. I don't use the words evil, wrong or right, good or bad. I just ask what serves me. I feel like a rocket ship. Like when a rocket ship comes to the edge of the Earth's atmosphere, it needs more gas to push through. And that is what has happened during this pandemic. I've had an opportunity to be so still with myself that I'm pushing through, and I'm now kind of just floating in space. Not a nandy-pandy floating. I'm very organized, but I'm at peace, much more peace than I've ever been. And I also like this metaphor that I heard in a movie. I'm like moss. Moss is the most ancient plant, and it grows in little places where it doesn't have to fight with the dominant plants. And that's where my life is. I want to just be humble. I don't want to fight with people anymore. My husband loved the lesson from the Course in Miracles. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. My favorite lesson of the Course is I'm under no laws but God's. And he says, those little pellets you put in your mouth and those fluids you inject in your body and those little silver discs and pieces of green paper that you think will save your life. No, not ultimately. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get the vaccine. It doesn't mean I don't wear a mask. But ultimately, I've been walking around going, no laws but God's. I don't have to get this COVID thing, but I take care. And my final favorite quote from A Course in Miracles is, all of your past, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. I think that's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being a witness to my life. And so many of you on this call who have helped me.
Wow, Janet, thank you. And I love both of the quotes that you took from Course in Miracles, but that last one. Okay, would you like to do the meditation? You want a moment? Or what would you like to do? I'll follow your lead. You're ready, okay.
I just want to tell you that when my husband died, I kept hearing him say to me, I feel guilty. I'm upset. Oh my God, what I did to you. I got angry at you all the time. And he'd say that quote to me. What anger? What? I don't remember. It's all gone. Nothing's left but a blessing. Okay, so we'll do a little meditation. This is I got this the idea for this out of the book called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, which really is so wonderful. You'll just feel so ready to go to heaven after you leave your body after you read this book. Okay, so let's get centered. Feel feet on the ground and gently close eyes. And just relax your shoulders, keep them down. Just gently imagine that you're standing on a precipice, overlooking a beautiful lake and mountains, just lovely. And a warm breeze is coming near you. Suddenly, clouds are starting to surround you. Gentle clouds, warm clouds, trusting clouds. And they're just swirling around you. And as this wind begins to pick up, it circles you. It has a gentle magnetic force which gathers little white crystals around its edges. See it moving around like a ring, The ring is about 30 yards away from you. Take a deep breath. Release. Crystals are lovely. They're soft. And now, as if somebody pressed a start button on a cosmic projector, the ring becomes a circular movie. And in that movie, you see holographic images from your life. They're three-dimensional. It starts when you're a baby. See your parents, see your situation where you are. Watch as it moves through your life as a child, as a 10-year-old. As a teenager, as an adult. You are now able to view your life with absolutely no judgment. There's nothing that you did that was wrong, no mistakes, although you probably believe you have made them. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can zoom in and out. But the best part of this special feature, the best part of this whole thing is there's this little special feature which allows you to answer the question, what if? What if I had done it differently? So just reach out your hand. You can pull any moment of your life out that you weren't happy with and see it if you had done it the way you believed it should have been done. Just play it over, a whole new scenario. Notice that it still ends the same way. Everything ends in the same way. Try it again. Pull something else out and replay it. And notice that even when you replay it, it still all comes back to love. Doesn't matter. It's all valuable. It's all meant to be, or it would not have happened the way it did. Take your arms and just hug yourself. Love yourself for having gone through this life so far, so bravely as you have, that you even bothered to come back to Earth, to remember who you are, and then to remind others who you are just by remembering who you are. Remind them to be the best they can be. You are a shining example. And now suddenly the crystals break up and the clouds clear up and you're back in your body just overlooking the beautiful scene that you were standing in front of before you began this journey. Take a lovely, rich, deep breath. Now you can gently open your eyes.